They beat the nigga so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L did.
Every time I went to Harlem and see Big L that he was going to fight, he thought he would fight in your size, like the biggest in the world. He's like this. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
Big L wasn't just some lyrical genius, he was the real deal. Known for slicing through beats with cold precision and wild wordplay, L had the streets and the booth in a chokehold. But here's the thing, most folks don't say out loud. Big L wasn't just rapping about street life, he was living it. One foot was in the studio, the other was knee-deep in Harlem's gritty underworld. And trust, big names in the game still whisper about how fearless he was. If it came down to throwing hands, L was never the one to back down. Even after the rap game started showing him real love, Big L didn't cut ties with his past. Harlem raised him, and the streets weren't just where he came from. They were still part of him. He ran with a Harlem crew called NFL, run by his big bro, Big Lee. And being connected to that crew, it came with drama, street beef, messy situations. L was in the middle of it. One of the wildest stories involves none other than Maze. Yeah, that Mace. In 2024, he finally opened up about their fallout during an episode of It Is What It Is, and let's just say, things got real. Both Mace and Big L were Harlem boys through and through. Early in their careers, they rolled together in a rap crew called Children of the Corn, with Cameron, Bloodshed, and Herb McGruff. This was back in the early 90s, around 93, when L had already made a name for himself in the underground with mixtapes that had heads spinning. In 1995, he dropped his debut album Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, and the streets went crazy. Critics gave him props, the block gave him love, and everyone saw he was up next. But then, Mace switched lanes. In 1996, Mace signed with Bad Boy Records and boom! Just like that, he blew up. He became a shiny suit superstar overnight, and that's when things between him and Big L started to get tense. Mace admitted the vibe switched fast. "This was when I first got on," he said. "Before the fame, L was the guy. He'd take us to Bobito and other places to rap. But once I got on, the whole wave changed. Like, this is what it looks like when someone really makes it." Suddenly, the bond cracked. The friendship got shaky. And then, Mace said he caught Big L using some of his rhyme styles. "He started using a few of my lyrics, like different compounds I was using," Mace claimed. He was talking about syllable patterns, rhyming multiple words at once. "So I checked the dude," he added. But apparently, Big L wasn't feeling the criticism. Things heated up. Mace said L wasn't trying to talk. Instead, he went and called Fat Joe. Yeah, you read that right. Fat Joe from the Bronx, who rocked with Big L through the DITC crew. Mace said, "I told L, I'll knock you out. You know I know you." Next thing I know, he went and got Fat Joe on me. Brought some Bronx dudes into it because he couldn't find nobody in Harlem. And it didn't end there. Another run-in took things to the next level. Mace was back in Harlem, just chilling with his longtime homie God Shamgod, the same dude who later coached in the NBA. They were just hanging out when things got real dangerous. Out of nowhere, a robbery popped off. "Give it up or I'll kill both of you," the dude shouted. Mace tried to stall. He slowly took off his watch, slid it near a car tire, and took off running with Shamgod. It could have ended bad, but lucky for them, cops were nearby and snatched the guy up before anything worse happened. And yeah, they even got the watch back. But what happened next left Mace shook. A little while after that robbery, his phone started blowing up, and the calls were coming from people locked up with the same stick-up kid who tried to rob him. What they told him? Crazy. During a jailhouse beatdown, the guy allegedly confessed something wild. Big L set the whole thing up. That's right. Word on the inside was that L might have put a hit out on Mace over a rap beef. And it didn't stop there. Fat Joe came forward later, telling his own version of how things went down, and his story raised even more eyebrows. According to Joe, he felt like he got set up too. He remembered Big L pulling up on him at the Tunnel nightclub like it was urgent. L said he had drama and needed backup fast. Joe, who rocked with Big L through the DITC crew, didn't ask questions. He rolled up with his boys, ready for whatever. But when he got there, total curveball. The beef L needed help with was actually with Maze, and Joe was not expecting that. He said he just stood there, watching these two Harlem giants going back and forth. L got in Mace's face, getting loud and aggressive, and then he looked over at Joe, like he wanted him to jump in. Like for real. Joe admitted he was stunned. The whole vibe was off. And in his words, that moment probably changed how Mase looked at him forever. After that night, Joe felt like Mase never really trusted him again, and he couldn't blame him. Looking back, Joe said it was a shady setup, and he had no clue he was being dragged into some messy street politics. But Big L wasn't just clashing with Mase, there was another name floating in the tension cloud, the notorious B.I.G. Now, while it never turned into a full-blown beef, there were definitely some moments that made folks talk. So here's the deal. Before Biggie ever became the king of bad boy, Diddy had eyes on Big L. Yup, L was on Diddy's radar first. This was back when Diddy was still doing his thing at Uptown Records in the early 90s. But by the time talks could even start, Big L had already signed with Columbia in '92. The deal with Diddy, dead in the water. A little later, Diddy crossed paths with Biggie, and the rest is history. When Bad Boy Records launched, Biggie became the face of the label and shot to superstardom. Still, Big L and Biggie had crazy things in common. Both were lyrical beasts, repping New York with razor-sharp bars. And both had deep ties with Jay-Z. Everyone remembers Jay and Biggie on Brooklyn's Finest, but let's not forget that iconic 1995 freestyle on the Stretch and Bobbito show, Jay-Z versus Big L, bar for bar, and to this day, heads argue that Big L bodied that one. Even though Biggie took the flashy mainstream route and Big L kept it raw in the underground, their paths still crossed. Word is, L even opened up shows for Biggie during one of his tours. So there was some kind of professional link there. But here's where things get spicy. In 1995, Big L dropped Lifestyles of Da Poor and Dangerous, one of the standout joints. MVP, a track that sampled DeBarge's Stay With Me. Not long after that, Biggie released One More Chance, using the same exact sample. Fans and insiders were quick to point out the timing. Some believe Biggie's track may have been inspired, or straight up influenced, by Big L's version, but L, he never addressed it publicly. Silence speaks loud, and the streets haven't stopped debating it since. But Big L wasn't just dealing with drama in the industry. The streets were still watching him, heavy. Even as his rap career started buzzing, L never cut ties with his Harlem roots. He was still moving through the same blocks, same corners, and not everybody was showing love. Some saw him as a star, others saw him as a target. Behind the scenes, whispers were getting louder. People said Big L was trying to leave certain street ties behind, but not everyone around him was on the same page. Some thought he was switching up, some felt betrayed. And when you mix fame, money, and old street codes, that's a dangerous combo. Things were getting tense around his circle, even with family. His older brother, Big Lee, was the one who ran the NFL crew L had come up under. But in 1999, Big Lee ended up behind bars. Word was, when Lee got locked up, a lot of protection L had on the streets disappeared overnight. That's when everything started to spiral. On February 15, 1999, Harlem got hit with a tragedy nobody saw coming. Big L was gunned down in a hail of bullets. 9 shots to the face and chest, just blocks from his home. He was only 24. The streets froze. It wasn't just a hit. It felt personal. At first, rumors flew everywhere. Some said it was a robbery. Others swore it was over rap beef. But the theory that stuck the hardest? That L was murdered because of bad blood between his brother and former associates in the streets. Not long after, the NYPD arrested a man named Gerard Woodley, a childhood friend of Big L's. The twist? L had known this guy for years. They grew up together in Harlem, but once Big Lee went to prison, it's said that old loyalties faded fast, and the streets turned cold. Woodley was charged with the murder, but get this, the case fell apart. The charges were dropped due to a lack of evidence, and Woodley walked free. That move left people with questions, and the silence from those close to L only made the mystery worse. Years later, Woodley himself was gunned down in Harlem in 2016. Some say it was payback, others say it was karma, but nobody ever fully cleared the air about what really went down between him and Big L. To this day, fans still debate if Big L was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or if his past finally caught up with him. Some believe he was set up by people he trusted. Others think it was about who his brother had beef with. One thing's for sure, Big L's murder felt too precise to be random. And what makes it hit even harder? Right before his death, Big L was about to make a major move. He was in talks with Dame Dash and Rockefeller Records, the same camp that launched Jay-Z to the top. Word is, L was days away from signing with them and finally going mainstream. He was on the edge of greatness, and then, boom, gone. His death left a hole in New York hip-hop that still hasn't been filled. No one spit like Big L. No one had that mix of raw storytelling, clever wordplay, and real-life grit. The industry lost a legend, and the streets lost a soldier. Whispers started floating through the streets, and they weren't quiet. People said the tension between Big L and Biggie may not have been direct, but their crews? That's where things got real ugly. Big L's older brother, Big Lee, had a close street connect named Reg. Now, Reg wasn't just some local name. He had serious ties, even with heavy hitters like Black just from the Supreme Team. These weren't small-timers. They had real weight in the game. One day, Reg reportedly ran into a junior mafia member at a local Chinese spot, and it popped off. Reg pressed dude hard, real hard, and then pulled a strap and snatched his chain. And not just any chain. Rumor is it was the same one Biggie wore during his cameo on the show Martin. Crazy, right? After that, Junior Mafia was heated. They were out in the streets searching for Reg, trying to get that chain back. But Reg, he wasn't backing down for nobody. Word on the street was he told them straight up, if y'all want it back, come get it in blood. It was wartime. Meanwhile, the Tunnel nightclub in NYC was the place to be on Sunday nights. Big L pulled up often, and according to sources, he'd sometimes borrow a chain from Reg just to flex. The wild part? Some believe the chain L wore on those nights was the same one taken from Junior Mafia. That kind of move could have made things even hotter behind the scenes. But let's be real, all that street drama, all the rumors, they don't define Big L. What really made him stand out was his raw talent. He lived for this rap stuff. You could hear it in every bar he spit. Big L, born Lamont Coleman on May 30th, 1974 in Harlem, was the youngest of three. His family didn't have much. His dad walked out when L was still a kid, leaving his mom to hold it down for three boys on her own in a tiny two-room apartment on 139 and Lenox. That spot, it became legend. Even as a little kid, L had something special. The spark hit when his older brother Donald, aka Big Lee, took him to see Run DMC live at the Beacon Theater. L was just 7, but that night lit a fire in him that never went out. By the time he hit 12, hip-hop was his obsession. He'd spend hours studying lyrics, freestyling on the block, battling kids in hallways, and dreaming of being on stage one day. In 1990, at age 16, he officially started writing, forming his first rap group, 3 the Hard Way, with his boys Doc Ream and Rodney, but the crew fell apart fast. L was serious about the craft. His friends, not so much. The group tried to rebrand as Two Hard Mothas, but that didn't last either. Still, L kept pushing. His life took a sharp turn when he met Lord Finesse at a record store on 125th Street. Never one to miss a moment, L spit a freestyle for Finesse right there, and the man was blown away. He gave L his number, and that connection would open major doors. While juggling school and the grind, L was building his rep. He graduated from Julia Richmond High School in 1992. But long before that, Harlem already knew his name. L was the freestyle king at house parties, block parties, and corner battles. In one of his last interviews, he said, "In the beginning, all I ever saw me doing was battling everybody on the street corners, rhyming in the hallways, beating on the wall." By 1992, the world started catching on. He dropped early demos that later helped shape lifestyles of the poor and dangerous. That same year, he hit Yo MTV Raps with Lord Finesse to promote Return of the Funky Man and appeared on the remix of Yes You May. Soon after, he featured on Represent from Showbiz and AG's Runaway Slave, and people started paying serious attention. Then came the freestyle battle that changed everything. Hosted by Nubian Productions, Big L went head-to-head with nearly 2,000 rappers, and won it all. That W stamped his name in the streets forever. In 1993, Columbia Records signed him, and it felt like the breakthrough he deserved. His first official single, Devil's Son, dropped not long after. The track was dark, intense, and bold. L called it one of the first horrorcore songs, but he made it clear that wasn't all he had. He had range. In 1994, he formed Children of the Corn, a Harlem supergroup featuring Cameron, Mayhay, Bloodshed, and McGruff. They had the talent, they had the hunger. But tragedy struck in 1997 when Bloodshed died in a car crash. The group lost momentum, but L never stopped. In 1994, he also released the darkly witty I Shoulda Used a Rubber. And by 95, his debut album, Lifestyles of Da Poor and Dangerous, dropped, landing on Billboard and producing hits like Put It On and MVP. His bars were unmatched, his punchlines deadly, and his pen elite. But even with critical acclaim, Columbia didn't get it. The label clashed with his vision, so in 96, L walked away. He said it plain. The execs just didn't understand his sound. They wanted radio hits. L wanted real rap. In 1997, he joined Diggin' in the Crates, DITC, teamed up with OC, and toured Europe. That same year, he launched his own label, Flamboyant Entertainment. It was all about staying independent, no watered-down tracks, no R&B fluff, just bars. Then came Ebonics, a lyrical breakdown of street slang that was so sharp, it got praised by The Source as one of the best indie singles of the year. Meanwhile, Dame Dash from Rockefeller saw what L was doing and wanted in. L was ready, but he had one condition: bring his team with him. In early '99, he started negotiating to join Rockefeller alongside McGruff, C-Town, and Jay-Z as a group called the Wolf Pack. He was right there, on the edge of going fully mainstream, finally getting his shot at the top. But then, boom, it was all gone. Big L's life was cut short before he ever got to see what was next. If you were feeling the heat in this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell for more wild hip-hop stories and industry drama. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.